Hi, boys and girls. Today is Monday, April 12th, and we are going to be doing reading. And for today, all you need is your small reading book. I am going to talk about what you're doing tomorrow. So for that, you'll need your term practice book, but you don't really have to get that out now because you can just get it out tomorrow. Before we start, I want to go over our words for this week. The first word is guess. G-S. G-U-E-S-S. Guess. I have to read what that sentence says. This girl is holding a kitchen tool. She wants us to guess what it does. Do you know? It rolls out the dough. Okay, guess. That's our first word. Second word, better, B-E-T-T-E-R, or better, or better. We kind of say it with a D sound, better. Our next word, sure. This is a rule breaker. It sounds like it has an H in there, S-H, but it doesn't. Sure. S-U-R-E, sure. The next word is learn. Again, this is kind of a rule breaker one because it looks like E-A. Well, it is E-A, but it just sounds like bossy R. Learn. L-E-A-R-N. Learn. The next word, began. This is an easy one. This is exactly what it looks like. Began. Began. B-E-G-A-N. Began. This is an easy one. I feel like we've had this as a spelling word. Right. R-I-G-H-T. Right. Those are our words for this week. But also, we have two words that we are focusing on for vocabulary and going to be talking a lot about this week. Unusual. Unusual. U-N-U-S-U-A-L. Has a lot of U's. Look at that. Unusual. If something is unusual, it is not common. That means we don't see it very much. So the example, this new bike is unusual. Looks kind of scary. Be hard to hold it up and ride on it. The next word is idea. Idea. I-D-E-A. Idea. An idea is a picture or thought you get in your mind. And sometimes, lots of times when in cartoons, they'll show if somebody gets an idea, then there'll be like a light bulb on top of their head. That's why there are light bulbs here. An idea is a picture or thought you might get in your mind. New bulbs that last longer are a good idea. Okay, so those are all of the words that you should really learn how to read this week. Here are some other vocabulary words. Improve. Do you know what that means? Improve. To improve is to make something better. Adding cheese will improve the flavor of this dish. Device. Do you know what that means? Device. A device is an object made to a certain job, such as to do a certain job, such as a can opener. Dad has a device that measures how much air is in the tires on the car, which you can kind of see here. It has, try to get it so you can see. So you put that there, and then air goes in, and then you can kind of see how much air is in it. Device. Complicated. If something is complicated, it has many parts and is difficult to understand. Sarah tried to fix the broken clock, but it was too complicated. Imagine. Imagine. When you imagine something, you think of something that isn't real or that hasn't happened yet. Nina likes to imagine that she is a princess living in a castle. I can tell because she's wearing that crown on her forehead, on her head. Imagine. Okay, and this is the last word. Curious. Curious. That book says whales, dolphins. If you are curious about something, you are interested in it and want to know more about it. I was curious about whales, so I read a book about them. Curious. Okay, so I am going to read, this week we're going to be talking about inventions. So there are a lot of things that someone had to invent, which means that they had to create them. Think about a car, think about your iPad, this computer that I'm using, the smart board, all sorts of things. And so that's what this week we are going to be talking about, inventions. The story that I'm going to read on the card is called Great Inventions. So what inventions do you use in your daily life? What would your life be without them? So think about, it would be hard to do schoolwork. You wouldn't be able to watch us on videos. Nope. If somebody didn't invent a camera or the iPad or a computer. You use inventions all the time. An invention is something new. Inventors are curious people. They want to know more about things. They figure out how to solve problems. An inventor can imagine a new thing that will help people's lives easier. That will help make people's lives easier. What would life be like without telephones? People used to communicate by sending letters. Yeah, so instead of calling, you would write somebody a letter. And then it would take a few days for them to get it. And then they would have to write you back to answer your questions. If the letter was going far away, that meant it could take weeks to get important news. People also sent coded messages called telegrams. Telegrams came quickly, but you had to learn a special code to send them. Over 100 years ago, Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. It carried people's voices to faraway places. Soon people could make calls from their homes and jobs. They could share news, make plans, order goods, order things that they need, and much more. But people needed to call from other places too. New inventors made cell phones that could call from anywhere. Today, cell phones can also send text messages and help you go online. So this was a good invention, very important for us. It makes our life a lot easier. Here's another invention. How would you read at night if it weren't for electric light? The light bulb is another invention that changed the world. For many years, people used fire to make light. Burning wood, candles, and oil made a dim, smoky light. Lights that burned gas came next. Gas lights cost less and gave off more light, but they were dangerous. Breathing the gas made people sick. Gas lights sometimes caused fires too. People needed a bright, safe light. Then an inventor made street lights that used electric sparks. These were safer, but they didn't last long. People needed an electric light that would last a long time. In 1879, Thomas Edison found a way to make a light bulb that was both safe and long-lasting. His invention let people see at night while they worked, played, and studied. Today's inventors still work to improve the light bulb. The newest light bulbs give off less heat and use less energy, And like Edison's light bulb, they last a long time. So we've talked about phones and now lights, light bulbs. Do you use those every day? Well, maybe not phones, but someone at your house probably uses a phone every day, and lights we use every day. What do you think? Oh, I kind of showed you. This we use, don't we? Can you picture a world with no cars? The invention of cars changed the way people live. Long ago in America, most people traveled by foot, by horse, or by train. People who walked or rode horses could go anywhere, but travel was slow. Riding a train was faster, but people could only go where the trains went. In 1893, the first gasoline-powered car in America was invented. Now people could drive anywhere there was a road. At first, cars were made slowly, one by one. So not very many people had them. The work was complicated. The cars cost a lot of money. Then, in the early 1900s, Henry Ford changed the way cars were made. He invented the assembly line to make cars. A person who is a part of an assembly line makes only one part of the car. Other workers make other parts of the car. The workers can do their work very quickly. So, one person would stand and they would just put these two parts together and pass it on. These two parts together, pass it on. The same parts, and they would pass it on. And then the next person would put they would add another part to the first part. And that's all they would do, and they would pass it on. And then the next people would add more things. So an assembly line means that one person is doing like the same thing over and over and passing it on. And then it goes faster that way rather than you trying to put the whole thing together. Because Ford's assembly lines made cars quickly, his Model T cars were less expensive, which looks like this one. Whoops, wrong side. This one. Many people had enough money to purchase one of these cars. Now people could live in one place and drive to work someplace else. Many people still do this. Cars have let us travel far. That's a good invention, right? Is it important? Yes. What do you think is going to be the last invention that we're going to talk about? Computers. Do you use a computer in class or at home? Yes. Computers help us in many ways. They help us to write and send messages. They help us find information quickly. They help doctors know what is wrong with sick people. Who helped create this very useful machine? Computers did not have just one inventor. They had many. The first computers in America were used in the 1940s and early 50s. They were huge. They filled whole rooms at colleges and businesses. So this whole thing was one computer system. One computer. Now look how small they are. Inventors imagined that one day people would use computers in their homes, and they were right. They looked for ways to make parts smaller and easier to use. They invented the microchip. This tiny device allowed computers to do more and take up less space. People could own personal computers. The first personal computers were heavy. Most stood on a desk or a table in a person's home, which a lot of us still have something like that. Then inventors figured out how to make computers smaller and lighter. Laptop computers are easy to carry around. People continue to invent new computers and programs that let us use computers in new ways. It is fun to imagine what computers of the future might do. Computers, very important. They've been very important during this past year when we have to Zoom and when you have to watch videos and you have to do your work on your iPad, because iPad is kind of like like a computer, right? So remember, what were the 4 things that they talked about on the cards? The first one was the phone. I had to look and make sure. Phone. That was really important, right? What did we do before phones? We had to send letters, or they used a telegram, which sent codes. So phones, very important for us. It would be hard to live without it, wouldn't it? And then the other thing was light bulbs. We use light bulbs every day, don't we? Before they had to use candles or fires, and it could be dangerous. And they wouldn't last all night. If you needed it to, it wouldn't. You'd have to keep checking on it and adding more wood to it. And then cars. Cars are very important, aren't they? We wouldn't really be able to get groceries very easily. People wouldn't be able to come to school unless you lived close. Even if you have, like I get groceries delivered sometimes, well, the other person has to have a car, right? In order to get it delivered to my house. And then the last thing was computers. Yeah, we definitely need computers now, don't we? Okay, now I need you to get out your small reading book and turn to page 154 and 155. And we're still talking about inventions. I bet you're kind of excited about this story. Okay, before we start, what inventions do you know? Well, we just talked about a bunch of them, didn't we? Cars, lights, phones, computers. TVs, they didn't talk about TVs, did they? That's another important one, which they're showing right there. How do you use this invention? You watch shows, right? Does your TV look like this at your house? Maybe. Maybe it does. Maybe you have a TV like that. Okay, turn the page. Here are our words for this week. Page 156. Began, better, guess, learn, right, sure, idea, unusual. Okay, those are our words for this week. Turn the page. This week, I don't know if you have done your phonics video yet, but we are talking about OR words that make an OR sound. OR and OAR words, or ORE words. Or. It's kind of easy. Let's read these words. We have or. This is when you're on a boat and you have to paddle. Those are called oars. Or, born, tore, shorter, store, board. That means when, like a board or a game board that you might play a game on. Roaring, war, form, sports, north, before. So those all have the or sound with either OR, OAR, or ORE. All right, turn the page. The story of a robot inventor. What inventions do you know about? Read about someone who invents robots. I bet you have been looking in your book, ready to read this story. So this is a biography. That means that it is a story about somebody's life. And so we're learning about the robot inventor, the man who invented this robot. I kind of remember his name was hard to say. So let's turn the page. We're going to listen to this for a second.
Big ideas. Meet Tomotaga Takahashi.
Okay, Tomotaga Takahashi. Tomotaga Takahashi. Okay. Takahashi. Oh, it's just exactly what it looks like. Okay, ready? Big ideas, page 162. Meet Tomataka Takahashi. That's how you say it. He invents unusual robots. How did he get started? Mr. Takahashi was born in Japan in 1975. As a child, he played with blocks. I bet you guys do too. He used his imagination to make all sorts of forms and shapes. So there we're seeing on the map where purple is where we live down here. This is part of the United States too, but we live down here. And Japan is where he was from. And here they're kind of showing some blocks there. Page 163. Later he read comic books about a robot named Astro Boy. The robot looked like a real child. Takahashi wanted to make robots just like it. So there's Astro Boy. So this is true. Remember, there really was or is a comic books with Astro Boy. So what were the things he liked to do as a child? He liked to watch Astro Boy, and he liked to play with blocks. He liked to build things with blocks. All right, page 164, finding out about robots. In 1999, Takahashi began to study robots. He took classes to learn how they move. The robots bent their legs when they walked. It did not look right to Takahashi. People did not walk that way. Then Takahashi had an idea. He made a better robot. It did not bend its legs when it walked. It moved more like a person. So, instead of bending its legs as it walked, he was making it better. Page 166, making better robots. In 2003, Takahashi started his own company. He made many robots. A short robot climbed up a cliff with a rope. A bigger robot lifted a car with its arms. Another robot made a bike for 24 hours. Rode a bike for 24 hours. Takahashi began to put his robots in contests. He made 3 robots for a sports race in Hawaii in 2011. The first robot had to swim. The second robot had to ride a bike. The third robot had to run. The robots had to do these tasks for a week. So there's the picture of, looks like one that's in the water swimming. So they had to swim, ride a bike, run. 3 different robots. So those are some of the things. Before this, he had robots that could ride bikes, and they could lift a car or climb up a cliff on a rope. So he is really he's really inventing robots that can do a lot of different things. Okay, page 168. For the race, there were many problems to solve. Takahashi made the swimming robot waterproof, which meant, if it had a battery inside, there can't be water that's going to come in there, because then it would ruin the battery and then it wouldn't be able to swim. So he had to figure out how to make it waterproof. He gave it arms like fins to help it swim faster. Another robot was able to ride its bike for 100 miles without braking. The third robot ran for 26 miles. What will Takahashi invent next? Will his robots fly and soar like Astro Boy? Will they be his finest? We can only guess. We must wait and see. Tomotataka Takahashi is sure of one thing. His robots will do more and more. Okay, so the essential question down here, what kind of robot would you like to invent? What would you like your robot to do? I would like it if I could have a robot that would cook. But the robot would also have to decide what groceries to buy. What groceries to buy and then cook. That would be nice. That's what I would like a robot to do. Maybe you want a robot that can play basketball with you, or play baseball, or throw frisbees, or play games with you. That would be fun. Okay, so that is all for Monday's work. We're done with Monday's work. For Tuesday's work, so for tomorrow, you need to read this story again. Okay, reread this story. And then you need to, from the Your Turn practice book, you need to do pages, I need to find it, hold on. It's just one page, two-sided. Page 253 and 254. That's what you need to do tomorrow, on Tuesday. Read this story again, and then do pages 235. I said 253. I'm sorry. 235 and 236. So on 235, I'll just have it up here. Hold on. Okay. All right, so the letters OR, so O-R, O-R-E, OR, and O-A-R, OR, make it the sounds you hear in for, more, and board. So we have riddles. You're going to circle the word that answers the riddle, then underline the letters that spell the OR sounds, as in for, more, or board. So you read this riddle, it's giving you a clue. What are they talking about? This word is by. Okay? You're going to circle the word, and then you're going to underline what makes the OR sound. So you're reading the clues, circle what they mean, underlining the OR sound. The other page, here are our new words for this week. We've done this so many times. You're going to use these words in these sentences. Began, better, guess, learn, right, sure. Okay? Using those words in the sentences. So that is tomorrow on Tuesday. And then I will have another video on Wednesday, and we're going to read from your big book. Okay? So, I will see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you're reading. Okay? Bye.